And sexual violence neither has class or any creed or any region or any language. If it is a woman, somewhere men think that this is okay. And what they are suffering just now, because powerful people are at work trying to cover up and hide and sabotage the evidence. So protection has to be extended to the victim's family. We need to also understand that somewhere in our country, 2 courts have allowed furlough to Asaram and Ram Rahim, both convicted rapists and murderers. Please ask the men to stay inside the hostel rooms. Please ask men to not come out of their house. Please ask men to buckle up their pants tight. Also put a lock to their zip. Because that way, women will be safe.
It's been nearly a week since the rape and murder of a trainee doctor from Kolkata came to light. Doctors across the country are out protesting, demanding justice and a safer working environment for women. We spoke to Brinda Adige, a distinguished women's rights activist, on the larger issue of safety of women. Let's get right into it. Hello, Brinda. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Firstly, I'll say that. And how are you doing right now?
Very well. Thank you for hosting me.
Okay, so I just want to jump right in the topic right now. So we all know what has happened in Kolkata. And what was your immediate reaction to that incident of Kolkata?
Outrage, absolute anger, because this is inside the hospital, a place of work which is supposed to be safe, where the hospital or the authorities and the institution, it has the responsibility to secure that safety and protection for people who work there and for patients who come there. Something like this happening inside your workspace is not only scary and dangerous, but one loses all confidence in the authorities in whom we place our trust to keep us safe.
So how does this case reflect broader systematic issues in handling sexual violence and protecting women's rights in India?
See, first and foremost, we know that the state machinery, its functionaries, and the systemic lack of infrastructure. But besides that, we also have to address the whole issue of this patriarchal, misogynistic attitude that both the state organizations and communities have against women, as if women provoke or women allow. You said got raped. She was raped. Nobody wants to get raped. Nobody will deliberately put themselves in situations where they may be harmed, where they may be assaulted. And sexual violence neither has class or any creed or any region or any language. If it is a woman, somewhere men think that this is okay, because our institutions, especially the police, the prosecution, and the judiciary, have not shown that these are serious criminal offenses. They still continue to look at it as if it is the fault of the woman for being there, and so she got raped.
When India Today's Lull and Top, there's a YouTube channel, Lull and Top, they had a word with victims' parents. And they said, when we got the first call, they told us it was a suicide. The girl, the victim, she committed suicide. So do you think, are there any gaps in the current legal framework or enforcement that contributed to this incident? What changes do you suggest, ma'am?
See, first and foremost, the role of the police is to enforce law. Now, they might have a colonial mindset and they might think that they have the power and the authority and they can do whatever they want. First and foremost, the police have no job talking to the press without having all the information with them. The information will come to them only after they conduct an investigation. a thorough professional investigation. So, talking to the press and telling that the victim committed suicide goes to show that it is not just unprofessionalism, but it is a lot of corruption, and people in positions of power have instructed and directed the police to make this statement. The police themselves must know that they shouldn't be dictated by somebody. But for whatever they are worth, they seem to be dictated. Now, if you read the tweets all of today and also a couple of the channels in this particular case, they are saying that it is not one person who has raped and murdered this victim. There are a lot more people involved. Now, that can also be inferred by any common person, knowing, understanding that she was brutalized, physically brutalized. Her pelvic girdle has been dislocated. One person could not have done this. There was sexual perversion, something inserted into a vagina. One person could not have done that. After all of this, there is also news that a couple of the PG students or the doctor students over there were running some kind of a sex racket. And that was in the know of the principal. Now, all of this is information that is coming out every day. That said, the police have a very, very important role to have secured that place where this murder and rape was committed. That place has not been secured. In fact, day before yesterday, they started doing some renovation, breaking it down. How is it possible? Our laws are very clear. We cannot fault and blame the laws. May not be great, but they are very clear that you secure that space where crime has happened, because mazar has to get done. There has to be a mazar in the presence of responsible citizens. Now, the hospital management has not allowed for any of that. They've already cremated the body. An autopsy has been done. But knowing that all the information is still not available with the police, why was the body cremated? Why is it that nobody was allowed to go and look what has happened over there? When we are saying nobody, we are talking of also senior police officers. So it is the investigation team is one, and there are senior police officers who absolutely must understand that this is the SOP, standard operation procedure, that you secure that spot, that you put a lookout for whoever was a suspect. You had one or two CCTV cameras over there. So you want to look at patients, you want to look at visitors, you want to look at everybody who can and is a suspect. Now, what do they do? Nothing. So when we talk of the functionaries in the police, they have behaved like a colonial police, listening to some masters in positions of power and not to the citizens and the victim who should get justice. Now let us see what happens when the case actually comes up to the courts.
Well, for victim support, ma'am, what do you think? What measures should be taken to provide adequate support and justice for the victim's family? What do you think about it?
See, the victim's family is going to continue to demand for that justice, which means we have a scheme in our country. It's called the Victim and the Witness Protection. They are not witnesses, but certainly they are family of the victim, which means the scheme allows for the SP or the police commissioner or the DCP to understand what may be the risks that the victim's family might be pushed into and what they are suffering just now, because powerful people are at work trying to cover up and hide and sabotage the evidence. So protection has to be extended to the victim's family. That is not a question that needs to be debated or discussed. That is step number one. And the Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee, has said that she is going to fast track the court. Now, fast tracking of cases of this nature came about since the Justice Verma Commission came in. But none of our courts really work on fast track, which means within the first 9 to 11 months. Even Nirbhaya took years together. So fast track means within the next 9 to 11 months, the entire investigation must be completed, and everything the court has to do and ask has to be completed, and the verdict must be out. There cannot be excuses. Courts normally sit on a high horse of protocols or procedures that did not get fulfilled. It is also the job of the court to work in convergence with the prosecution and the police to ensure justice is meted out. Court is not a separate body out of this country working outside the constitution. They are part of the constitution's other bodies for justice. So the courts and the judges must work as hard as the prosecution and the police to ensure that rule of law and fear of law is strengthened. Otherwise, perpetrators will continue with this impunity. Time and again, various cases, we know that perpetrators have got away. While we are discussing this horrendous, gruesome case today, we need to also understand that somewhere in our country, two courts have allowed furlough to Asaram and Ram Rahim, both convicted rapists and murderers. This message goes out to perpetrators that they will get away, that nothing much will happen to them. That even if they are in jail for life, they can keep coming out, enjoying their birthdays, their other anniversaries, and then go back. So there is no punishment. They seem to be the guests of the state living very luxurious lives. And that is what must be shattered. The courts, through this case and several other cases that are right now there, must show that laws are to protect people and punish perpetrators.
So, how do such incidents like this impact the community and society at large? And what steps can be taken to address the fear and anger in the community?
Like every other case, we keep coming out to protest, only then the state wants to work. Until all the students did not come onto the streets, the police were very happy to cover up everything and also say that it is a suicide and then close the case. Because the students came out in this large numbers, not only in Kolkata but across India, that the police has now come up and Mamata Banerjee has allowed the CBI to take over the case and now investigate. If every case like this has to be protested by the citizens, should we not go about our jobs? What are we paying our taxes to all these people to do their job? So, at one point, I think it is important that we educate our young people, old people, everybody. One, to learn and understand, sorry, that you respect everybody and women are not second class citizens. It is also important for us to tell that if any such things come to your notice, bring it, report it to the authorities. But then, who must hold the authorities responsible? Because in one of our in the tweets, I also saw that this particular girl reported to the principal that there are certain elements who are involved in sex racket in the hospital, and the principal did nothing about it. So who must hold them accountable? If the government authorities, the management is fear, does not fear the law, how is it that citizens can feel safe? So this whole corruption and powerful people being involved in sex rackets must also become fast tracked in courts and inquiries to be held, because posh is something protecting women, sexual harassment against women in the workplace, and that immediate action to be taken. That said, I will keep coming back to the state machinery and the state agencies because they have the larger role. Media also has another role, because often we find that media does not portray all the cases all the times in its entirety and with that gravity with which it has to be presented. We also have the other side of media that talks about treating women with disrespect, that sexualizes and objectifies and commodifies women. So people get it into their head that women are just sex objects. There are movies that fantasize and romanticize rape, romanticize abuse and assault. And I think all of this, we all have a responsibility. Certainly, there is no section in the society that can absolve themselves and say, "Oh, we are not responsible for it." We are all responsible. As schools, colleges, institutions, and families and communities, we all have to speak the same language of respect, equality, and safety for all by each other. We have to look after each other, look out for each other. There is no way where it says that women are here to be abused and preyed upon. And lastly, I think it is time that we hold people in positions of power amply responsible. The courts, the police must not be afraid to charge them. In Western countries, in European countries, we know that there are prime ministers and presidents who have been sent to jail, who are also inquired upon, who are investigated upon. But it's a country like India, calling ourselves mother of democracies, where these people get away because they hold the system to ransom. And that responsibility now falls on us as citizens to become that active citizen, to raise our voice not only against this corrupt, unjust, and exploitative system, but also against powers that misuse the law and abuse positions of power.
People like you, human right activist, women right activist, they play a huge role in society. So, what role can human right activists and organizations as well play in preventing such incidents and raising awareness in our nation?
Our role is not there to prevent, our role is to educate. Our role is to create awareness. Our role is to urge and encourage people to raise their voices against these kind of instances. Not to become prey is not something that I would like to say. Like I said, nobody wants to become a prey or to be assaulted or sexually abused or raped. And it is also our role that we take very, very seriously as active citizens. We continuously get called as activists, and somewhere people say that activists are not good people. Raising our voice against systems, raising our voice against powers that be, require a lot of courage. And that courage of convictions is not something that we will give away. Nobody pays us for all of this. We do it out of our conviction and passion that our children may be safe tomorrow, that we will be able to create a safer society tomorrow. That probably us coming to the streets or raising our voice on social media or constantly questioning and challenging powers might make them more accountable. But this is not just our responsibility. This is a responsibility of every citizen of our nation. This is the dharma that each of us are charged with.
Now the case has been transferred from Kolkata police to CBI, and people today and other parties like BJP, they are again and again saying that TMC is responsible for what has happened in Kolkata today. So, what do you think? How would you evaluate the government's response to this incident? And are there any specific actions you believe the government should take right now?
If we are talking about the West Bengal government, I think they have to extend all cooperation to the CBI. But once the CBI gets all its information, I still have my doubts whether the actual perpetrators, both the direct ones and the indirect ones, would be arrested, would face jail, will punishment be meted out to them? Because we constantly see that people who are corrupt in positions which are powerful keep switching sides. And if you come to my side today, then I will keep you safe. If you go to another side tomorrow, then they will keep you safe. That is not what citizens want. Citizens want perpetrators, the culprits, the criminals to be punished as per law. Otherwise, they will lose faith in the system. They will lose faith in the state agencies. And like something happened in Hyderabad a couple of years ago, take law into their own hands and lynch people, lynch abusers and rapists. And that is not something that we should subscribe to. We cannot subscribe to any form of anarchy. So we hope that the state government would extend all possible support and CBI would come out shining, ensuring that the actual and the real culprits, irrespective of what powers are there protecting them, will be arrested and will be duly punished so that citizens' faith in the system, in the state, and in the laws is reinstilled.
People still have this misconception that it might be girls' mistake, that she might have worn something short, she might have put some much more makeup, so that might be the reason people are coming and raping a girl. um, uh, so I would like to ask you, for future prevention, what strategies do you recommend for preventing future incidents of sexual violence and ensuring the safety of women in such high risk environments?
We must understand that we live in a deeply patriarchal society, a society that constantly refuses to take responsibility for its actions and all the time placing the blame on women. If that was the case, are people who are fully covered not raped? Babies 8, 9 months old are raped? Was it because they were wearing no makeup? Was it because that their clothes were provocative? Men believe that it is their right to rape. They feel entitled to show their machoism by raping people and sexually assaulting women. Clothes do not really provoke anybody. It is their mindsets and their outlook. It is their insecurities. They want to prove something to themselves and to the others. And a weak person, a person in a vulnerable situation, is caught and preyed upon. So we know that there are many children who are raped. There are many children who are sexually abused. What would they be wearing? They were wearing school uniform. They were wearing PT uniform. What was the provocation for this adult man to rape a schoolgirl or a baby or a senior citizen? So I must very, very categorically place on record that such statements are only excuses. They do not want to take responsibility for their actions. It is time that men take responsibility for their actions. It is time that men are locked up inside their homes and hostels after 6 p.m. Because we just now saw the guidelines that have come from one of the oldest universities in Assam saying all the girls must stay inside the hostel premises, must walk wherever there are bright lights, must ensure that they are going in twos and threes. Why? Who are the perpetrators? Men. Please ask the men to stay inside the hostel rooms. Please ask men to not come out of their house. Please ask men to buckle up their pants tight. Also put a lock to their zip. Because that way, women will be safe. Don't tell women not to go out and not to roam around. Places that must be secured with bright lights is the job of the college management and the state authorities. streets to have extra police patrolling, or hostels and institutions having extra additional security, is the responsibility of those institutions and hostels. That there are perverts, that there are men waiting to pounce on a vulnerable person, on a vulnerable woman, is not the woman's fault. And that, I think, is a message that we must give very, very strongly. Do not tell us as women, why are you wearing these clothes? Why are you walking like this? Why did you wear makeup? Why did you wear lipstick? You can close your eyes. You don't want to see us? Close your eyes. You don't want to see women in short skirts? Close your eyes. Stay far away. How dare you think that just because there is a woman wearing short clothes or tight clothes, you have a right to abuse and assault and violate her? Just because you're a man? Shame on you. Shame on that man who thinks that this can be done simply because he is a man. That is unacceptable. No religion allows it, no country allows it, no law permits it. So it is time for us as families, as communities, and as a nation to tell men to behave themselves and to remember that we as women, citizens, have equal rights just like any other man.
Thank you so much, Brinda. Thank you for getting your valuable and precious time and having this chat with us. Thank you.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.